Family, welcome back to the channel, Fix It for Reselling. In today's episode, we have an Xbox One S. Hang on, screenshot. This was actually given to me by JR Reselling, James, who's not JR Reselling anymore. He is times with JR. Looking forward to seeing one of his new videos. He gave me this because I fixed his label printer for him and other favours, blah blah blah. But if I get this fixed, I'm going to owe him a nice breakfast at next car boot sale we're at. Right, so let's get you on the overhead camera and we'll see what's wrong with this one. Right, so here we are. I have not plugged this in yet, but James has plugged it in and said it's turning on and off. And I do what I usually do, have a quick look at the ports, and the HDMI port is destroyed. So yeah, hopefully you can see that this is all bent up, and these pins are just floating in the air. We've got, you know, this plastic should be all the way across here, but it's not. And we've also got a pin up there touching onto the ground. It's not anymore. It's probably just snapped off. So yeah, so that port is destroyed. So before I even try and turn it on, we'll get this port changed. So I've already ordered the ports. This will be my first time changed the port on here. I've only done one HDMI port, which was on the PS4 in the previous video, or the one before that, I can't quite remember. And I've never taken one of these apart. But here goes. There's plenty of videos on how to get these apart. Someone's had it apart and destroyed this plastic there. Well, I won't bore you with taking this apart. There's probably a million videos you can go and watch online of how to get this apart. Right, I'm seeing flux and crap on the board. And yeah, look around the HDMI port. What the hell is that? What the hell is going on? I don't even know what that is. Right, anyway, let's carry on getting this out. I don't even want to look on the underside of this board. Yeah, flux all over. It's just like a lump. Is that? Surely that's not solder. What the hell is all that? And what is all that around there? It looks like, you know, like rust, like fur. When something starts to corrode, you get like that horrible fur corrosion. Well, James, there was no way he was fixing this or getting it working. I think it's more than just the HDMI port. And I think even if you sold this as spares or repairs, someone might have returned it and said it's been worked on and hasn't been declared. It just makes me wonder whether it's worth changing the HDMI port on it. You get one of them. You get one of them removal tools. It's all blue around here as well. We've got corrosion everywhere on this thing. I'm blue, dabby-dee-dabby-da. Oh, there's a connector for the fan. Jars of paste. Anyone want a new carpet? Got one on the bottom of this heatsink. Right, I'm just going to get rid of some of this dust off of here outside. Right, I haven't cleaned it too much because I don't want to remove, you know, the damage. I want to be able to see where the damage is still. Just getting rid of some of the dust. I just want to check out these power regulators or MOSFETs, whatever they are, first. I think it's here to here, is it? What diode mode? Wrong way around. Is that 0.6 fine? 0.6 fine. 0.6 fine, so those ones are okay. Right, so these are looking fine. I cannot believe the state of this port. I mean, come on. What the hell? What the... That's the recoder, retimer chip, whatever you want to call the chip. Are those pins bridged? Whoever's tried working on it has not got a clue what they're doing. Worse than me. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm still learning. I'm going to do a better bloody job than that. Right, I'm just going to see what cleans up on here with a bit of alcohol. I'm just going to do this a bit at a time. Wondering even whether to waste a port on there. I've got a feeling these pins are going to be corroded and destroyed. What the hell? Well, I mean, I could be completely wasting my time with this, but you got to see it as good practice. It's a bit of practice, even if it's destroyed already. I'm going to put some flux in there, get some leaded solder flooded onto them pins. See if we can get some leaded solder under there. You probably can't. Probably won't be able to see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get some leaded solder on those pins. I don't know what this is in here. It's bubbling and popping. It's like some, I don't know whether it's a plumber's flux or something, but it is just sizzling and popping. Right, so what is all this on the back? Is this solder? Just going to get some solder wick on here, try and get rid of some of this. Right, that's that muck cleared up. Right, just going to get some leaded solder on these ground points. That one doesn't even feel like it's got the leg through on there. Alright, let's see if we can wick any of this up from here. So we've got my smaller wick out. Can hear the stuff bubbling on the other side of the board. Right, let's try and get this off. So I'm just going to sit it up on here. Get some flux on these pins. Just get some flux under there again. All around the bottom of there. I think I'm going to need a lot of flux to get this one off. Right, let's give this a go. Warm the board up. This nozzle's probably too small. Let's get you in a bit closer there. Take my nozzle off. Bigger nozzle. Let's go again, slightly bigger nozzle. And you know what? Let's get some leaded solder in here. Let's try and make it mix. Bring this melting point down. It's also going to help me see when this solder's melted on this side. The solder this side has melted. Port is wobbling. port has fallen out. Port is a mess. While I'm here and this is hot, I might try and use the solder sucker to clear these holes. I've not tried it this way before, so see what's going on. Is that cleared? I don't think that's cleared. Oh yeah. Nice. Right, shall we have a look at the other side? Have we got away with this? I think this might look okay. It's just while the board is still hot, we're going to get some solder onto these pins. You know what, that's looking okay. Let's give it a clean. Right, a bit of solder wick will clean these pads up. What have I just knocked over? Controller. Going up and down nice and gently on these. Right, a little cleanup time. Right, well that's not looking too bad. That side and that side. Right, so I'm just going to tin these pads with some loaded solder. See, and this is why you need flux. If you watch there, the flux that's in the solder has now dried out. For any novices out there, when I was a novice, see how that flux is all lumped? Solder is. See how that solder is all lumped together? It's not flowing. See, it's like you can't flow, it's all sticking, it's all lumpy. And that is why you need flux. If you watch now, all this solder will now flow nicely. It won't all clump together. With decent flux, it's not going to burn off straight away. As you can see, keep going over it and over it. And with good flux, it stays there for a lot longer. So you know, there you go, it's all flowed nicely. All probably the same amount of solder on there. Looking beautiful. Quick clean once flux is warm. Right, we're going to get one of our new ports out of here. Probably should change the tip on my soldering iron. Right, so this is basically going to sit in that way. We can make sure now that this is like totally flat to the board. Oh, that's why. I thought that leg wasn't pushing through the board before, but that leg there is like minute. Why haven't they made it so that goes all the way through the board? Yeah, so when you look through the back, you can only see 3 pins sitting through. Alright, so what we want to do here is make sure all the pins, all the legs on the HDMI port are lined up with the pins below. So as you can see they're sitting quite nice. This is my first one. I might just get some flux on here and solder them. Right, we have our tiny tip on. Let's get a bit of solder on the end of that. Let me hold it from there. Can you see? Just about. You can see enough. Right, that's a bit better. Got a couple of pins. Got a couple of pins down. Trouble with this tiny tip, the solder wants to go halfway up the bloody leg. The solder wants to go where the heat is. Get a bit more flux. Now we've got a few pins bridging. Dip this solder wick in the end just a bit there, hopefully. Hopefully that will get some off, but no, not yet. Alright, let's clean it up a bit and see if we've see if these are soldered down. Right, the first one's loose. The second one's fine, third's fine. Right, I think they're all on except pin 19. Right, pin 19 attached now. Yes. Nice and gently with the brush, just dry that out. I think they look okay with no bridging, so let's just try and check them. This will beep if they're touching. Looks like I've got a bit right at the back. Right, let's just see if we can get it out with the soldering iron. I think that got it. Let's have a quick look at our filters while they're down here, because these look grubby as anything. Right, so these basically, put my head in the way properly, they should make a connection straight through, but not across to the next pin. It's hard for me to see. You can see we've got corrosion around here as well. Right, I'm just going to change a bit of tip and do the ground pins on the HDMI port there. Right, got the big tip on. Just want to heat these up enough to get the solder to flow all the way through the holes down into the other side of the board. So just leave the iron on there a little bit longer than you normally would. So that's what I wanted to see on that side. Solder actually coming all the way through the holes. And you can see the solder's come all the way through that side now, so yep. That's that, looking good. Right, I'm going to turn my attention to this area now, down here. Yeah, look at the state of that. If this was sold as working, I'll be very surprised if it bloody was. Now, I've got to be careful here because this is corrosion and rubbing it could take some of these components off the board. And using a brush will just flick them off and you're never going to know. So if this don't work, I shall probably pay some attention to over here. Sometimes you just clean corrosion off and it works again. It's probably pointless, but I might just try and reflow some of this solder on this cap. I think to do the others I'd need to get my microscope out because they're just absolutely tiny. Right, let's turn this on and see what it's going to do to us. But, right, here we go. Let's plug it in and see what happens. Power on, power off still, it's my guess. Shall I turn it on so you can see the light? Oh, just a beep. Nothing. A beep and nothing. No lights, no nothing. Oh, got a light that time. And off. Can hear the hard drive starting up. Do they work without the hard drive and discs in? Nothing. Not even a light now. We still have something wrong. There's a surprise. See if we can test any voltages. I'm not even sure where to test for voltages on here. Got 12 volts coming in there. I've got 3.3 volt test line there. Yep, I think that's right. Is that 1.8 down there. .8 standby, that's STBY. So 1.1 standby. Yeah, that's our 3.3. Should this be 3.3 as well, or is that when you turn it on? 3.3 when you turn it on. Right, well, for now, I don't know much or enough about these ones. I'm going to have to investigate this off camera, see if I can find anything. So, come back to me if I do. Otherwise, you'll see me ending the video about now. I've been just looking around here under the microscope. I'll turn the microscope on in a minute, even though it's a rubbish picture. Right, and hopefully this will show where you need a microscope. So this was the area that was all kind of like blue fluff and corrosion. Found a couple of little problems in here, which I'll show on the microscope now. Microscope's not brilliant, but you'll probably see and get the idea. Right, so here we are under the microscope in this area. We are looking at C1P1 right down here. Even at this magnification you can't really see anything, so let's get the microscope zoomed down. There we go, C1P1. We'll zoom down a bit more now. Right, so there we go, we'll zoom down a little bit more. Oh, the board's a bit wobbly, let me sort this out. Right, so there we go, C1P1. And hopefully you can see now there is a tiny, where are we? There's a bit of the trace broken there. Now I came across this because I was just poking around the capacitors looking for shorts and connections, and I wasn't coming up with a connection on this one until I got the microscope out and looked at it. So we have a problem there. And then where else was I looking around? I'm sure I spotted something. See, even though I've cleaned this area up, you can still see there some of the blue crud, some of the corrosion, and I'm thinking that might have corroded that connection out as well. So even though I've used IPA on this and scrubbed it with a toothbrush, it's still hard to see stuff. See the legs on that chip at the back there, they seem a bit gunky. So everything is a bit gunky, so some of this might need to be taken off the board and put back on, or even replaced. I'm not sure whether anything's missing from up here, whether any components have come off while I'm scrubbing it. I'm going to have to take one of my old boards apart and have a look. But yeah, we need some work around here. Hopefully you can see the multimeter. It's got open line. But if we check on this via, you can see we've got a diode reading of 0.2 jumping around. It goes down to 0.7. So yeah, so that one's definitely needs looking at. So we've soldered that one up. Right, hopefully that's a slightly better angle for me anyway. Just to show you how tight this is. Where are we? This is like a ruler, and these spaces are 1 mil. So 10 mils all the way there, zeros all the way back here. So, you know, the width of this is like 0.5 mil. So that tiny little hole, that break, is absolutely minute. I mean, what's that capacitor? I mean, that capacitor is literally a millimeter in length. So that's how small this stuff is. Right, so you know, this is the blade of a tiny this is the blade of a tiny like Stanley knife, like a little craft knife. Just want to try and get this in here, scrape some of this coating off, just to try and get back to some of the metal. So I think I'm back to the copper there. Right, so let's just put a bit of flux on here. Tiny blob. Tiny bit of solder on our tip. There we go. Even this is only a fraction of a mil. You know, we've only got that tiny bit of trace, so we're going to need a tiny little wire. Right, so I've just got a tiny bit of wire taken from my solder wick that I'm going to put onto there. Or put onto the cap. This is just going to want to keep coming off because this is so small, so I've got to try and hold it. Try and hold that in place. Solder that on there. And hopefully that tiny bit of wire, yeah, is now soldered to the capacitor, and that tiny bit of trace. Is that a bit still hanging up there? Yeah. My tweezers are rubbish. Right, so I think I've got it. Giving it a wiggle. Give it a wiggle to pull the wire off. Multimeter in continuity mode. And now I should be able to touch that and that. And that should be joined. So yeah. So that is making a connection. Let's give that a quick clean. Right, so if I block that light a bit, you can see that wire's connected. No, it isn't. Is it connected now? I'd say that is. That's not moving. Okay. But trouble is, a capacitor is not probably going to be the whole problem with this. You can usually take capacitors off and not cause much of a problem. So I need to check other stuff. I'm not sure whether this is making a connection or not. So I'm not sure whether that is another hole on here. Let's put a bit of flux on there and see if we can see anything. Don't need much. I think that's gone. I think this trace on this one's gone there as well. I can see brown board. Yeah, see that is brown board, so that trace has been eaten away by the corrosion as well. This is absolutely minute in here. Back to our continuity, so I'm just going to touch this via here, hopefully there, and just touch the top of this. Got a continuity back, and that is a 36 ohm resistor. Right, so that's not pretty, but it's now reconnected. It does make you wonder if anything else is gone bad in here. I mean, this chip isn't looking pretty. Might just give that a reflow. Just going to get some flux on this chip. I'm blocking my own light. I can't see where I'm bloody be nudging this to. Well, it looks alright. Connections look a lot better and cleaner than they did before. It definitely looks nicer. Right, so there is our two other tiny little repairs, that one there and that one there. I might try and turn this on now. Shall we try and turn this on? Fan did nothing. Can we power it on? Still doing the same, beeps but no white light. So there we have nothing still. Well, that's annoying. Okay, unplugged. More investigation needed. So we need to have a look at that back some more, see if we can see anything. And also we had corrosion all up around this, which is where the HDMI is, where that was messed up. CPU wasn't getting too hot. And time for a voiceover. We noticed this resistor was missing up on the HDMI circuit, so we had to do the same thing. We had to scratch some of the track back, put a resistor on there. We took the readings from another Xbox One S I had, so we had the right resistor up there. So yeah, so we got that on there and put a trace bar on there. Just make sure it was all connected, which was lovely. And now we're moving over to the ESD IC. Now when we took this thing off, we looked underneath and thought it was ruined. We thought this was all burnt onto the board, but after, you'll see on here, after a bit of like scratching it and giving it a good old clean up, I was actually surprised that the board underneath looked absolutely fine. So here we've just got some IPA on there. We've had a little scratch with the tweezers. Gets the IPA on there. Cotton bud, toothbrush. Giving a little scrub around. Scratching the last bits of whatever they have put on there. God knows. Just trying to show how small this thing was. It's like 2 mils. And yes, just cleaning that bit up and thought we was going to get lucky. So put some fresh solder on there and then wicked it away. Gave it another clean up and the pads were all looking nice under there. Good connections. And then we took the looked at the back of the IC, tried to clean this up, but if you notice down on the bottom right, or now it's bottom left, it's moving around all over the place. But unfortunately one of the pads on this chip had gone. Now you can buy these for like £5, but I don't know whether it's this that's causing the problem. I mean, will the Xbox turn on without this ESD IC being on there? But you can see top left now there's a pad missing. Kept trying to clean it up, see if it was like hidden, but it's gone. Right, that's it. I think it's time to give up on this one. Right, so I've taken off this ESD filter. Where did I put it there? You can see how tiny that is against my finger. Taking it off, it looks like there's a looks like one of the pads has ripped off of that, so that's not getting reballed. So I don't know if with that taken off it will even boot. That's a £5 replacement. So we replaced lots of bits on here. We've put this resistor on here. We've had to run traces on that one. I did find some on the back of here. I did find, hopefully you saw that I had some other traces that were gone that I've repaired. But nothing so far has made a difference to this board. I mean, it's all good practice. I've put a new USB port on there, which is a bit of a waste. It's all good practice. I might buy a new ESD IC for that one. That controls the, the signal to the HDMI. But I'm not sure whether having that off is what stopped booting it up. I've taken a working board here. This is the band console, or out the band console. I've checked resistance all over the place. Everything is sort of matching up. So usually when you get like a beep on, beep off, a lot of time it can come down to the APU. So I'm not sure with this one. I might keep it to the side and I'll investigate it later, but I'm just going to put it back in the case for now and forget about it. Right, so that's it. I don't know whether any of you guys, any other sort of repair people watching this has got any other ideas about this, whether they know whether it will boot up with the ESD IC filter missing. I have reflowed the HDMI retimer chip and other stuff, repaired stuff, but you can't fix them all. Hopefully someone will leave comments down below saying try this, try that, but it could be the main CPU, APU, whatever. Could be that's gone. We've got all our voltages. So unfortunately we can't fix this one for now, but it's all good practice. We've repaired traces and got components connected up again. We've replaced a few missing components. We've changed in another HDMI for practice. I've reflowed the retimer chip, the HDMI retimer chip. That's all good practice. But anyway, I hope you like this video. Hope you enjoyed just watching me trying to fix something and, some of the tiny little trace repairs and stuff you have to do. But yeah, leave us a comment below if you know anything else I should check on here. Give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. We're going through Jack's lot of consoles now. We're going to fix them. See you in the next one.